when I finally opened up my mind to the fact that cannabis had a string in all religions, I was like, wait a minute. And that stopped me in my tracks. And I also got Jack Herrera's book, The Emperor Wears No Clothes. And that again, like, boom, it was like light bulbs and connections that were going off everywhere. And so here I am today, declaring cannabis as my sacrament, and demonstrating it. And
hey guys, it's Mandy with Global Hemp Association. I wanted to say thank you so much for joining. I'm excited about the opportunity to build a relationship and connect this supply chain. I mean, after all, that's why we started the association. Our association was built on the foundation of connecting supply chain, building relationships, and helping you grow your business. Anyone from farmers, manufacturers, and distributors, people that are passionate about the supply chain, and those creating products selling into biofuels, plastics, textiles, construction, and building materials.
Hello, hello. I saw you dancing. I was laughing at the videos of that last commercial over last year, and it catches me at one time. I'm on the phone, like telling everybody, like, hold on, I'm on the phone, I'll be right there. And it's like the longest video. And I'm like, hold on, I'm on the phone. I can't talk. And I was like, that's not necessarily. Anyways, I always crack up. I was like, what? But it's a good year in review, and it was a great year. We've had our viewership has gone up a lot, where our subscribers are increasing, our membership's increasing. It's definite growth, and still nothing moves the industry as fast as we want it to, but we're seeing progress, and so it's exciting.
The fact that we are here right now is progress.
That's right. That's right. So Nydia, thank you so much for joining me. I'm really excited to chat. I'm excited to introduce you to our network and make connections. You want to tell us real quick who you are and what you do, and how'd you get into this space?
Oh, okay. Those are a lot of questions. Okay. Hi, my name is Nydia, Ganja Clergy. I own 3.5 or work 3.5 businesses in and around the cannabis industry. I use cannabis as sacrament, and cannabis is a whole lifestyle for me. We'll talk more about that, but everything from the way I sleep to the way I brush my teeth. And so I center my work around education, advocacy, and wellness and balance around the endogenous cannabinoid system. I got into the industry. I'd been around cannabis since I was 14 years old, but I got into the industry in December of 2019. And I was called in by Corinne Tobias at the Cannabis Coaching Institute. I got a certificate through her and that system. And my life had changed a year before. I'd ended up in the ICU diagnosed with an autoimmune disease. Autoimmune diseases most people don't even know how to cure. So I had to do a lot of my own research, and there wasn't a lot of research. Like 2% of the 2% of the population were diagnosed with what I had, and because I claim healing from it. And so I learned how to balance my system through the Cannabis Coaching Institute, the information that I had learned, information that I had researched on my own. And next thing you know, I was on full spectrum CBD and occasionally some RSO. And I'm like, wait a minute, there's so much more to learn about this plant. I had read a book, Ganja Yoga, from Dee DeSalt, who had then told me to read a book from Stephen Gray about cannabis and spirituality. And that book literally opened my mind to a whole other world. I had been struggling with religion and spirituality for a very long time and throughout my life. And so when I finally opened up my mind to the fact that cannabis had a string in all religions, I was like, wait a minute. And that stopped me in my tracks. And I also got Jack Herrera's book, The Emperor Wears No Clothes. And that again, like, boom, it was like light bulbs and connections that were going off everywhere. And so here I am today, declaring cannabis as my sacrament, and demonstrating it and really diving into how ancient Kemet used to use it. And so I now host events that are surrounding conscious consumption of cannabis and intentional use. I teach groups and individuals about that. And yeah, we'll get into that. Should I get into the different companies I work in? I guess so.
Yeah, please keep going.
I have at URWellness. URWellness is my main company where I do group and private sessions, from forest bathing to dosing with psilocybin and guiding people with psilocybin out in nature. I love incorporating qigong and just earthing and grounding, and other kind of like movement practices while we're out in nature and experiencing the mycelium complex in all the goodness that it embodies. And then using mother plants like Palo Santo or cannabis or other herbs that might complement the experience, right? But then on URWellness, I also have on-demand education. So it's like 1 minute, 2 minute clips that you can subscribe to for a certain amount of time, and you can take it to your doctor's office or to your lawyer and be like, hey, here's play, 60 seconds of your time. Oh, wait, did you learn that the cardiovascular system is the same as the pulmonary system, is the same as the endogenous cannabinoid system, is the same as the other, skeletal system? Like, they all work together. That's why I consume, or that's why I'm choosing to use this as a medicine. But for me, that education is one part. There's experts of the endogenous cannabinoid system that I allow to be experts, obviously, because they're pharmacists. They know about the pharmacodynamics and the pharmacokinetics. I know a lot of how to translate some of that information into basic language for the layperson, because I used to be a physical therapist for 17 years. And so I knew how to talk doctor, and then I knew how to talk patient. And those are two completely different languages that you have to kind of learn how to weave together. And so with cannabis, I was able to take that career and say, okay, this is what I'm going to do. But I gave up my physical therapy license because I didn't want to practice in that healthcare system. That healthcare system had burnt me out. I had worked 13-hour days, 3 or 4 days a week. And I was a single mom. Like, it was way too much. And so I found my niche with my Sacrament and teaching these kind of things through my website, and then through my personal events, my group events, so on and so forth. So with Got Terpenes, that's a company my son and I developed. I learned that if I couldn't explain my cannabis use to my son, to a child, if I couldn't explain to a 3-year-old why I was doing what I was doing, then I didn't understand it myself. And so I started diving into terpenes and understanding that some of the same herbs that I have in my spice cabinet have and share the exact same terpenes that are found in the cannabis plant. And so I started introducing my son to the terpenes through experiences in nature. During the pandemic, instead of staying locked in the house, we went out into nature. And that's where a lot of our exchanges with terpenes in the mycelium complex began. And we started discovering that. And next thing I knew, my kid, he's now homeschooled, drew a picture of that terpene chart, but he selected 4 terpenes, and then he drew the corresponding plants that went with the terpenes. And then he drew a big cannabis plant at the bottom of the picture, and just the leaf. And I was like, light bulb, like, this kid is a genius. This is how you teach cannabis to everybody. And you disseminate the stigma that's around it by teaching people that they're consuming the exact same thing, but in different forms. And so we developed terpene education programs around that. We have a coloring book on Amazon called Terpene Coloring Book that you can purchase for $14.95. And it is really invaluable. We've had a lot of people in the industry like reach back out to us and be like, this has helped us like formulate some of our like skincare products, and it's helped us like really teach it to our kids. And all of a sudden we're able to replace, like, my wife is allergic to lavender, but she's not allergic to this other one. And it's like, okay, we can use that for the same properties. And it's like, yeah, lean that way with your cannabinoids and your terpenes. If you see them listed on your labels, like, you can lean that way instead of this way. And they're like, oh, wow, this is so cool. So it really opens up the ability for people to, a lot of people are scared to mix herbs. I used to be scared to mix herbs. Like, what goes with what? Are you going to make it taste terrible? And like this way, it kind of helps you. So it's a dope way. You get to color it all in. You get to have fun. Who doesn't love to color? It brings out the inner child. And I love inner child work. And then I'm working with Miss Kindness on your Loud Box, where we are developing quarterly subscription boxes for people to discover books at the level of children and even a little bit higher. But we'd like to really develop young advocates within our community. And these young advocates will learn that practically every piece of furniture, cloth, textile that you have around you, even your walls and your floors, can be made of this amazing, amazing plant. And so we're slowly going to introduce home products like coffee filters or socks or just random things every quarter that will go along with the season. So I encourage you to look out at yourloudbox.com because your loud box helps you get loud about what matters in your community. And we would love to partner with hemp companies that are out there. If you are a small business, even if you have, we're even looking for I don't want to say it incorrectly. I might get it wrong. It's okay if I get it wrong. The like hemp hurd, to be able to put like a stuffing in the box, not hemp hurd, the hemp
fiber. That's
yes.
fiber.
Yeah, the hemp fiber to put in as stuffing for the box. Like, why not? You know, we'd love to have a hemp box, but, you know, we're going to work up to that. We're going to get there to the point where we're sustainable. We have got some eyes on some like mushroom boxes for the future. But for now, we're going to do what we can, but we'd like to work and partner with companies that are already developing those kind of things in and around the hemp industry to help us be more sustainable and show people how you can translate these things. My son and I consume cannabis and hemp in about 12 or 13 different ways a day. My son in about 5 or 6. And I say that because I sleep on 200 pounds of hemp hulls. I am dedicated to this plant. Like,
yeah, I want to talk about this real quick. How do you sleep on hemp hulls? Are they inside of a mattress? Is it stuffing in a talk to me about how it's being used.
Yes. Oh my God. So it's so amazing. I recycled my foam mattress. I literally cut it up with a bread knife and scissors into like 2 square inches. And I got this bag. It's called Open Your Eyes Bedding. And you can either use buckwheat, lavender hulls, or hemp hulls. I was looking for a sustainable mattress at a reasonable price. There's not a lot of sustainable mattresses at reasonable prices out on the market if you've looked. And this one was under $2,000 for a queen size bed. And I was like, that's super reasonable for a bed that I know I'm going to have for more than 10 years. I cannot say that about any other bed that I would have spent that amount on that wasn't made of sustainable materials, because you take your hemp hulls, you spread them out on a tarp, and you let the sun hit them, or you put some essential oils that help with like thieves oil, that help with
like lavender. Like,
yeah.
I mean,
whatever. And you mix it, they clean them, you put them back in. So it's a mattress bag that you would put a foam mattress in.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I have 200 pounds of hemp hulls in one mattress bag. And then I've got my foam mattress underneath, and it's all on top of a tatami mat. So it's like super sustainable, super grounding, and it's like sleeping on a beach. If you're uncomfortable, you like move the hemp hulls in and you kind of burrow in, and it's crazy because you can see like your sleep pattern. It's like really interesting.
Interesting. Yeah, for sure. Okay. So talk to me about other ways. And I wanted to real quick before we move on, when you were talking earlier about terpenes, I live in Utah, where multi-level marketing and big manufacturing for essential oils, right? Where terpenes are in all of them. And so it was not new or foreign, and I know we saw it all the time, that there were people there that were, product developers or manufacturers of oils also at the cannabis events. That it's again, another aha moment for people that it's not new. It's not foreign.
It's not
as foreign as it's been made.
And we've got to be careful with that too. Like there's a lot of things. This is why I do terpene education, but I'll drop like a little knowledge here in terms of that. You know, there's a difference between synthetic, natural, and cannabis derived terpenes. And the actions that they have on our system are very, very different and can be very harmful. So yeah, these people knew what they were doing. They knew what they were doing a long time ago, and they know exactly what they're doing now. And nothing should taste artificial. There's no cannabis will taste like bubblegum. Like that's just not okay. And yeah, that's part of the education that we do have to put out there, because it's like you're putting poison with our medicine. And yeah, as an intentional consumption and conscious consumer of this medicine, I use this medicine to help move Kundalini energy. I use it to pray and manifest a sacrament. Yeah, we have to be more knowledgeable about that and spread that knowledge. So yeah, it's not new. It's not new. My son had his t-shirt on that we for him, the very first one based off of his drawing. And he went to my cousin's house, who they're very Christian oriented and disciplined in those manners. And they didn't allow him to put the t-shirt on. They told him to take it off, and they put one of their kids' shirts on. And I asked him, did you start the conversation with the word cannabis? And he goes, yeah. And I was like, all right. Picked up the phone and I made another appointment for the next week to have him go over and hang out with them. And I was like, throw the t-shirt on. And I was like, but this time you're going to talk about terpenes first. And I was like, just see how far you go. And I was like, they're probably going to take it off and have you put another one on. And I was like, I'll know when I show up to the door and you have another t-shirt on what I need to do. He was like, well, what are you going to do? And I was like, nothing bad. I was just like, nothing at all. And he was like, all right. So I show up, and sure enough, he didn't have the t-shirt on. And I was like, hey, Cuts, it's like some of that sage in your backyard. Can you cut me a bunch? I want to make a sage bundle with that. She was like, yeah, absolutely. And we go back to the sage bundle and I start talking about the terpenes. And all of a sudden she was like, your son mentioned something. I was like, yeah, it's on his t-shirt. And I was like, it has nothing to do with cannabis. I was like, just thought you should know and should teach you, but that's, that
has nothing to do with this stigma of what people are assuming, right? What they're correlating.
Well, and I even made some content around that. Like if you see the cannabis leaf, and I can put my hand up and it'll look like a cannabis leaf.
I knew that's what you're doing.
Yeah. If you see the cannabis leaf and all you think about is THC, we've got a bigger problem here. If all you see is one molecule, it's no different than seeing someone because they're just a woman, or because they're just a this, or just because of that, or because of what, it's that stigma around it. Whereas like if I could really let you know, like you're surrounded by poison, and it could be all replaced with this beautiful plant that can be made into fiber, into rebar, into concrete, into just anything, like gunpowder. Like it can be made into absolutely anything. I think if you include the medicinal and the industrial, I think it's 300,000 different ways. So it's incredible. It's just absolutely incredible.
I'm curious, some of the products that you are currently using that are hemp made, that may not be, say, like a lotion, some of the common consumables or cosmetics, right? But what about like hemp bowls or hemp bedding, like you said? What else are some of them that we have? And what may be going in your loud box?
Well, wait, I'm not going to divulge that all, because the companies are coming in, and when we're gathering all of that. Some of the things that I use that we will incorporate into the loud box. And if you are any of the companies that are available to supply us with any of these, let's talk. But my pillowcases are hemp, my sheets are hemp, my duvet cover is hemp. My towels are hemp. I use hemp rounds on my face. I use hemp cloths.
Really?
Yeah.
Like the cotton, like the cotton pad rounds?
Yeah.
Where are those? Okay. I didn't know about those. I want to get me some
hemp
of those.
washcloths.
What about hemp toothbrushes? I've seen those.
I have the toothpaste. I don't have the toothbrushes. I would like to get my hands on the toothbrushes. Who's got the toothbrushes? Please let us know.
I'll send you some links. Yes.
Let's see. That's for the bathroom. So I just saw there's hemp cutlery. I need to get my hands on those. Hemp straws. I need to get my hands on those. I have hemp bras, hemp underwear.
What?
Yeah.
Okay.
I have hemp moon time underwear that have like extra layers to absorb. So you can
interesting.
Yeah. I've got to have my witchy stuff at all times. I've got yoga pants. I have got hemp crop tops. I've got a few hemp
items. Lot of fabric items.
Yeah. I do have socks. I haven't bought my son any hemp clothing because that's more of an investment and he grows and I'd have to have like multiple littles in order to like invest in children's clothes. So didn't do that. But let's see. We have hemp seed capsules that we take daily. We have hemp seed oil that goes into like our salads, smoothies. Our dog gets hemp seed oil every day. There's CBD full spectrum oil that we take every day. We've got hemp hearts, hemp flour, hemp pancake mix, hemp brownies. I'm
seeing more and more. I shouldn't say that because the other day I was at a farmer's market, not the other day, maybe last month. We were at the indoor farmer's market talking to some of the people that made these delicious granola chunks. And I was like, I'd love to see hemp in them. And she said, it's too expensive. She said, we used to use it and it's too expensive. And so what do you think from your perspective we need to really change this, to take the level of education or number of people we can reach to another level to really...
It's education. It's so deep though. Like we literally are so poisoned. Like our surroundings are poisoned. Our walls, our floors, our everything that like the plastics in our clothing, like all of these things that we're exposing our largest organ to. Our largest organ is our skin. Mm-hmm. Like, and we're exposing, like, I also use hemp soap. I forgot to say that. Like I've got the bar soap and then I only use Dr. Bronner's. I love Dr. Bronner's. Sorry.
Yes. Shout out. Yes.
But yeah, it's, it's a thing for me to understand. In order for me to balance my endogenous cannabinoid system when it was at its worst, when it was exposed and raw, when I was in the ICU and my blood pressure was going up and down every 2 minutes and my heart rate and just my body could not function because it didn't know how to function correctly because it was so depleted of some of the most needed pieces and components. Like this is the largest receptor organ in our body. It's what helps our body communicate from one to the other. Like if we don't have balanced, we're kind of effed, So what that means to me, that meant a radical change for me. It meant that I went and took $600-700 of, I used to have, I can't even demonstrate them anymore. I used to have like half bottles of like perfumed lotion and perfumed soaps and making myself smell like vanillins and cinnamons and cookies, and it's not natural. And that exposed, I had to gain an understanding of how many poisons I was surrounding myself and my family with and what that meant for my health.
Well, and so even just thinking about your walls, right? What's in our buildings that we live in? What comes in the insulation, the paint, the air, the energy that's used, right, to heat and cool, and our capability to adjust there on big scale. I look at our construction industry being able to make a major impact, or a major need for change, right? Also to a more sustainable, a healthier living, a healthier building. And
my goal is to live in a hemp home. I want to surrounded by this plant, literally from like the moment, like, I'm so serious. Like I want hemp paste. I want like, I'm very dedicated to this plant. It's something about, the spirituality that runs in it. Like you can see hieroglyphs in Egypt of Seshat, goddess Seshat, with the cannabis plant above her, and she's writing on a scroll. She's writing on a measurement tool that they used to measure the pyramids with. Like this is, and she used that opening of knowledge of that plant. Remember, your hand is a plant.
Yeah.
She used that knowledge to bring that from source down into her. And so in ancient Kemet, they would burn 9 pounds of cannabis per day. The smoke was a literal representation of the connection from earth to source. Like this is, I desire to bring this education to the masses, but I've gained the understanding that sometimes going at it head on, full force, actually makes people close off from it more. And so the small little steps is what I've done to change my life. It was small little steps. It was never anything that I made that was a big step or a big change, because those usually revert back because of habits, right? In order to break habits, we have to make little changes. And so little things like your loud box, where we quarterly, every 3 months, we change one thing in your home: a sponge, a straw, a set of cutlery, a plate, a washcloth, a round. And then we're able, both Miss Kindness and I have educational channels, and we work on each other's educational channels. So it's a good way for us to help bridge that out to our education so that people can then gain a larger understanding of this plant than the fact that it's not just, THC. And so there are little steps in little directions, and every single one of us that is making that, you are making a difference. You are part of the little steps that are going to make bigger changes. Think about a little drop into a pond, and we're all making those drops, and those eventually make waves. So I'm proud of what we're doing in the industry, every single one of us, because it's not easy. Breaking the stigma is very difficult, but it is extremely rewarding. She rewards you at every turn when you do dedicate yourself to the work behind this plant. She just breathes life into you. So I'm grateful for the work that I'm doing. I'm grateful for being in and around cannabis and hemp. Let's make changes. Let's change the way we're making construction. Let's change the way we're making clothing. Let's reduce the price of hemp again.
And and change the way we're buying also, right? This really is about a more sustainable opportunity in a way. I've said for a long time, even on the supply chain development, that hemp is a tool to make your business better, not to, could it be more expensive, or is there a chance that it is more expensive? Sure, but at what cost, right? At where on that supply chain? The cost of our earth, the cost of the air, the cost of the consumer, or the cost of the register. Yeah.
Well, and that's Absolutely. What it means to me. It's like, we pay a little bit more for certain things because we know they come with certain guarantees, like good customer service, right? Or replacement. Sorry, my son's this is part of my homeschool. I apologize. But this is all part of it. We invest in certain companies because we know they come with certain guarantees. Well, what if investing in a shirt guaranteed you better health? Like, what if it was that simple?
Agriculture.
What if replacing your insulation with hemp reduced the cost of your heating costs, your air conditioning costs, and decreased your exposure to lung related issues?
Right.
Or allergies, or all of a sudden your kids don't have allergies because they're not surrounded by petrochemicals all day long. All of a sudden they can start consuming things that are better for them. And so replacing it in our foods is, it goes on and on.
And not just our food, our animals' foods, right? We can go on and on and on. Okay, so where have you seen the biggest impact, right? You talk about how rewarding it is and being able to see it's, and I'm going to give an example. I, again, had a group of students that we got to work with, and every time I feel so blessed because they're incredibly smart humans. They're going to school. They're not kids. Sometimes they are. But watching their like eyes open up to opportunity, both on the economic side, but also in, where the younger generation is who's really being impacted by our older generation's choices, right? And so the fact that we're presenting to them an opportunity to make that change or be that change is incredibly rewarding for me. And so I'm curious for you, like, where are you seeing the most impact in the work that you've done, and both personally and like for others?
It's a little taboo, but the kids.
Yeah.
That's one of my target audiences, and it frustrates people. I have no problem consuming around children. I know that's a little taboo. But for me, hiding my consumption is teaching children how to lie versus educating them on why I'm consuming, how it helps my body, and how it interacts.
It wasn't weird to smoke a cigarette in front of your kids.
Well, that's the thing. I used to hide my cigarette smoke, but but my kid knew.
Well, and that's what I mean, not just you, right? But you go back generations, and it's a matter of normalizing,
And if you look at countries that have decriminalized and made it legal to consume any kind of isolates, that's what I call drugs, any kind of I should say synthetic isolates. Synthetic isolates are what we call drugs in this house. But if you look at countries that have made it legal to consume drugs, period, however you want to make that umbrella statement, it's actually reduced the amount of crime. It's reduced the amount of all kinds of things, right? So the education surrounding it, providing opportunities to consume safely. And like kids don't, there's this thought that children are going to see weed and they're going to like run to it, roll up and smoke. Like kids don't do that. Like they don't.
But that's what we were taught in DARE. I remember sitting in DARE class.
I was looking at the the commercial. There was the fried egg commercial, and there was the one where people were
yes.
couch. And like I think about it, and I'm like, yo, I need to know that girl's plug. Like, but no, what I really think about is the impact in terms of going back to that question with the impact with children. Children will come up and they'll be like, what are you doing? And I'm like, this is cannabis. It's like, it has the same properties as basil and lavender. Do you like lavender? They're like, oh, I like that smell. And I'm like, okay, what do you think about this smell? And they're just like, oh, and I usually give them the flower to smell. I want you to smell the flower. What do you smell? Do you smell trees? Do you smell moss? Do you smell flowers? Do you smell cinnamon, oranges? Like, what do you smell? And they're like, ooh, and they close their eyes and they start going into this imaginative state of what they smell and what they can experience. And it's beautiful to watch someone that is not conditioned to think about just this one thing, right? And then I've had clients who have changed their life with this plant. I've had clients that have decreased and gotten off of pharmaceuticals altogether. And they've completely turned their life around in terms of how they're living it. And they're now purchasing hemp products, and they're purchasing other wellness products, because it's not just about cannabis and hemp. It's about understanding the sacredness that other plants have, like shilajit. And, there's so many other things, ashwagandha, and we can go on and on with other plants that complement this one. And so being able to see people flourish and understand, wait, I have autonomy over my own health, and I can use what this planet gives me in order to Yeah, in order to move in and around that. But like we've talked about, my goal is much larger with that. It is to make changes larger. Like the hemp home is just something that I dream about. I've been manifesting it for 2 years. I'm like, listen, I don't care if you start me out in a hemp yurt. I'm like, just, put the hemp around me and then we can work our way to a hemp home. I don't care if I'm in a hemp tiny home building my hemp home, but wherever I go next, it has to be 4 walls of hemp. In some way,
that can happen. That can happen. There are, listen, Ray
is out there working on it.
Yeah, Ray commented earlier, and he was just nominated. By the way, congrats to the U.S. Hemp Builders Association. You guys have got a great team, and so it's very exciting to see that board evolving, and it's awesome. They've just continued good work from what Jacob was doing, and so it's really exciting. But he's got lots of building projects, and between him and Gene, they definitely know what's going on in that industry. It's pretty cool. So when you're ready to build, you reach out to them, because
I will. I'll uproot my son and I and go out to Arizona or something and meet them and learn how to build it, because it needs to happen. But I wanted to give a shout out to one of my mentors that passed away in 2022. And his name was Michael Myers. He is the artist that created a lot of the backdrops for Jack Herrera during his Emperor Wears No Clothes book campaign. And he fought until the end and stayed jovial, and you would never know anything was wrong with him. And I love him for that. But his spirit is around us, and go hemp go. So if you have a chance, go listen to Hemp Hemp Hooray by Total Devastation, because he's singing in that.
Okay. That's great. Great. Okay. Anybody else or anything else you want to highlight as far as like your vertical and where you're really focused? What is 2023 going to bring you?
2023 is all about intention and community with the intention. So building community where I'm at in Michigan, in Southeast Michigan, and those intentional consumption events. Instead of having events where you're sponsored and you're just getting high as AF, it's about really sitting down with ceremony and allowing that medicine to help move your energies, including the Qigong practices and meditations, Reiki, gongs, the whole 9 yards, drumming, everything. So that's one part of what I'm working on. And then really building up in terms of the Global Hemp Association. And what I would love help from the Global Hemp Association is with this with this Your Loud box that we're building. If you know people that have products that are really just genuine folks, and we want to help businesses with their marketing, we want to help them have more exposure, get out into more homes, and have some return customers, right? That's part of what we need in this energy exchange. Is we need the flow of energy coming in and out through this industry so that we can continue to build that momentum. And so that's what we really would like to do. We want to build the Your Loud box to get it into as many homes as possible so people can read about the plant and understand all of the uses as well. So however we can include, like if we can include rebar in a box, how could we include that practically for families so that they could understand the value of this within their home, right? So that's why I was thinking more of the fiber to be able to fill the boxes and then different products. But we're open. I'm open to discussing whatever it is that you do in the hemp industry and how we can incorporate that, even if it's a leaflet here or some information that we can drop there so that people can know that you exist and that you're doing something.
Okay. Talk to me about how do people get in touch with you for that?
Absolutely. So you will email me about Your Loud box at yourloudbox@gmail.com. You can also visit yourloudbox.com, and we have a landing page. We're in the middle of developing our website, but we are launching 3/23 with our spring box. So if you have any kind of grow items, we'd love to see those. And then if you'd like to email me personally about any of the work that I'm doing regarding intentional consumption, I am highlighting wellness brands throughout the United States. I'm not just looking for sponsors in the Michigan area, because hemp is available to ship across the United States. So let's highlight your brand if it's wellness related.
A lot of the cool stuff that you're going to be getting, and like what you're using, right, is like a washcloth. It's not identified as hemp, because at that point, hemp is an ingredient in all of these other materials.
Correct.
Yeah. And so, outside of fiber potentially, or herd potentially, but I would love to connect you first to some fiber, because I'm sure you guys don't need an astronomical amount to start.
No.
So I'd love to help you get some nice clean fiber. I have plenty of it here, even that I could send over for some boxes, but
I thought about it and I was like, maybe half a bale. Like, we don't even need that much. Like,
yeah. And so it would be easy, but nice it's basically a good size sample, right?
Yeah.
So it would be cool. You can add, that would be a great filler.
Yeah. And I was looking at it the other day and I was like, oh, that's perfect. I wouldn't want to get anything else. Like, why would I want? And then you can tell people what to do with it, right? Put it at the bottom of your pots, or you can give them ideas of what to do with it when they're done, so that, for gardening or pets or whatever have you. So I think it's a great idea. So thank you. Yes, I'm down. I'm so open.
Very cool. Okay. So I had another question. Yeah. Sustainability is thrown around a lot, right? It's a word that's greenwashed all the time. Talk to me kind of about what sustainability means for you in this space, and especially in like how cannabis plays a role really in sustainability.
Sustainability and regeneration for me kind of go together when it comes to this plant. This plant has the ability, first of all, it's the only plant that emits the amount of terpenes that it emits. Like, compared to any other plant, the other plants emit like, I don't know, 70, 120 terpenes at a time. If you're looking at like a pine tree, right, that smells, that's really odorous, or like a jasmine bush. A cannabis can emit like 200, 300 terpenes at a time. The ability, like it's been considered, if you read Paul Van Hartman's Cannabis Climate Change, he talks about the fact that the properties of the terpenes can literally be equated to the immune system of the planet, because it provides the ability for it to wash the planet in terms of the air, right? And we know that its roots, along with the mycelium complex, have an incredible ability to regenerate our soil. That's what I think of when I think of sustainability and cannabis. And so for me, replacing the products that I'm replacing means that I'm putting a little drop into that bucket of regeneration of the air and the earth. And every single time I do that, I'm putting another little drop. And every time I use that hemp product versus its cotton product or its petrochemical product.
Petrochemical, right? Not like extraction. Like, we've got to get away from extraction.
That's a whole, but yeah. So, every time I use that product, that hemp product, I'm putting that another drop there, regardless of whether I have to look at it, because otherwise it's like, if I'm looking at coffee filters, people use coffee filters every day. Every day they're taking a new coffee filter, they're putting it in, versus using a reusable one that's either metal or whatever. But if I'm using metal or plastic and I'm heating those up, then what am I putting into my body, right? And so I think about that every single time I put my hemp coffee filter in and I make my coffee. It's like, I'm helping put another drop in that bucket, and I am helping to make myself healthy by using this. Like, that's sustainability in cannabis for me. It's a two-way street at all times.
Yes. Where do you think, what industries do you think that you brought cotton up, right? And I feel like hemp and cotton will be great partners. They will merge together very well and help each other sustain, especially in materials blends, right?
Yeah.
What industry do you think that hemp will both complement and really need to put a dent in, take some of its market share away?
The immediate thought that came up was explosives.
Okay.
That's like the immediate thing that came into my mind when you said that.
Okay. That is not what I was thinking at all.
I know.
I was like, okay.
Explosives and gasoline. Those are the two things.
Okay. Yeah. Like energy sector for sure.
Yeah. I did a study into the Dirty Dozen.
Okay.
And when you go into the Dirty Dozen and you look at where these 12 chemicals are used, you look at the laundry list of things that are in, like laptops and batteries and seat belts and roadways and safety flares, and just, you can go on and on and on. The floor, like I said, there's just all the list. Everything can be made out of hemp. We don't have to be exposing ourselves to the Dirty Dozen at all, but we do, because they're waste products of the petrochemical industry, and they've got to do something with it. Now they're just in our food, in our clothing, in our walls, they're in everything now. Yeah. And so that's I think it could be very complementary.
To what?
To any of these industries. If we allowed it to be, if we opened up our minds to it, I would like to replace petrochemicals, but I also know that there's resistance to that, right? And so why don't we meet in the middle for all of them? I think that might be too idealistic or, utopian of me to think of it that way.
10%. To give hemp 10% of it, right? I think that the impact that it could make.
Just give it a chance and watch.
Yeah.
Like, the investment for energy efficient things and sustainability is upfront. It's not going to be you're not going to get the return right then, like you do with the immediate satisfaction of petrochemicals, but it'll last. Everything lasts longer, which does mean it affects our pockets if we're looking at it from a capitalistic standpoint. But I think that sort of thinking does need to start evolving a bit.
Yeah. Like I said, our whole pendulum, it's not just one thing, right? When I said earlier, and we were talking about all of the things that make hemp better, or reasons why we should be consuming and benefits, there's also this like dollar, right? When I walk up to a register, or a consumer walks up to a register, they are still focused on the transaction, not the impact of that plastic water bottle that they're buying compared to the dollar water bottle. Plastic's 10 cents, dollar water bottles for hemp, right? Is a hemp bottle. And I don't even know that it's that drastic of a difference in price. But again, the consumer's mindset of that transaction and that dollar, and
it's the scarcity mindset is very ingrained in us as a society. I mean, period. I think that's a lot of the larger wounds that we must heal as a collective in our work consciously, and even in private. Like that's some of the stuff we need to transmute, because understanding that dollar goes beyond just that transaction and affects generations to come, that it makes a difference. There's a reason why you'll go for the organics for some fruits and vegetables. It's the same thing with your water bottle. Like it's the same thing with your cutlery.
It's a change. It's a lifestyle change, right? And it's got to be, and it's, I'm impressed. And I was just thinking about this. I really have to give props to you. You walk your talk, right? You live the lifestyle we talk about. And there are times when I'm drinking out of a water bottle and I'm like, oh my God, I should not be doing this. This isn't right? Where before I got into the industry, it didn't cross my mind.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't. I'm so embarrassed to say how disconnected I was from.
But this is how we learn, though. They're little changes. So like at my events, I won't have water bottles.
Yeah, totally.
Water bottles. I tell people to bring their own water bottle. And if you don't, there's compostable cups. Like I'm not, and we will spend more for that. I don't care. You know, the sponsor, help us sponsor the event so that we don't pay as much. Great. Thank you. But I refuse to give water bottles out. Like, oh, it's cheaper. I don't care. I am not going to poison my attendees. That's
cheaper for who? Cheaper for our planet, cheaper for like, where's the water bottle going?
Where's the cost? Exactly. It's the transaction up front. And so these are the things that we come up with. But as people who are conscious of this in the industry, we have the ability to make these changes. So people's water. I show up with my bottle of water.
I love it. So Neil made a comment just now, and Neil, he said, we as consumers can't be blamed. I want your opinion because I disagree. I think we as consumers can be blamed. Like it's our responsibility to get knowledge.
There's accountability all around. It's a 360 accountability circle. We all need to make the change, period. We all need to educate ourselves. And if we don't think we have the availability of education, we need to seek a little harder, because it's there. It's there. It's right there, waiting for you to capture it.
Well, the plastics problem is in our face now. Like you can't look plastic up and not see a picture of pollution. You can't drive down a street in a big city and
I don't see vision. So here's the thing. Alan Watts said that you can't have the peak or the trough. You can't have one without the other when it comes to a sound wave, right?
Sure.
So that's the same thing for accountability.
Totally.
Yes, the governments or the powers that be, the they, the someones, the they and the someone, that changed the education, that made the agreement to take hemp out of the agricultural toolbox and put petrochemicals in instead. That, I hate to say it, was a collective agreement. We all said, you know what, capitalistically, we can't make as much money with hemp genes that last, 70 years versus if we make these cotton ones, they'll only last 2. So we'll make more money. And all of us were like, yes, greedy. This was a collective agreement that we all made.
Still that way. Every day we pay. It's still that way. Every day you buy something at the grocery store,
that agreement.
You're voting for where it's going, right?
Is on both sides because we're paying for it and it's available to us cheaper, right? So it's like, it's like tempting and we go for it. Like that's the accountability is both ways. And we can't blame it on this person or blame. When we do that, we start separating ourselves from people and becoming superior and inferior. And that brings
it's not right or wrong, right? We just have to change. It's a supply and demand, a cause and effect. Cause and effect for everything, right? It's supply and demand.
Yeah, it's physics. Like, it's physics. Yeah, so we have to make these changes. I actually just yesterday purchased 12 ball glass jars. I'm so excited for them because there are new cups. I've decided all of the other cups, they break, break them, and these ball glass jars are coming in. So we just replaced all of our cups, and I'm excited about that. I'm like geeked out about that.
That's awesome.
So
I've used glass jars for cups since my kids were little because I got sick of buying them and my kids breaking them. But the glass jars come in everything, right?
They really do. They're fantastic. With soup, smoothies, like all kinds of ways. Hemp is the exact same way. So yeah,
I love it. Okay, well, I would love to stay connected. If want to remind people again real quick, how do they get in touch with you if they want to connect either about your Loud Box or any of your other projects that you're working on? And can I share I think I shared your website up at the top for your wellness, but then for any of your events, how do people get in touch about events?
Yes, events will be at URWellnessllc.com. If you go to the top, there's an events tab and you can check it out. Most of them do have sponsorship opportunities. If you're in Michigan, they also include seats at the table, which is dope. But if you're not, you can always do a giveaway that increases your outreach and increases our outreach as a community and our engagement. So let's go. And yeah, if it's either URWellnessllc.com, the email there is URWellnessllc@gmail.com, or it's yourloudbox@gmail.com if you're looking to collaborate on any of the quarterly box partnerships or clients. So yeah, or products.
That's awesome.
I love my wording.
Well, however I can support you, however I can help move this forward for you, I would love to. We're going to be traveling to quite a few events this year. We're obviously focused on the fiber and herd side and material science. And so as members are, creating products, when you're ready to build your house, be sure you reach out to the Hemp Building Association and Ray. They've got lots of connections to, we could rattle off everybody like hemp wood and insulation with Maddie Mead's group. And there's some composites, hemp plastics, and some other composites groups that are doing, I could go on and on and on. Anyways, so yeah, I'd love to help.
I'm so down for that. I will accept the help, and yeah, we'll work on getting this together, because I'm not the only one that wants a hemp home. I know I'm not the only one. That's why we're doing this all together. So let's go.
Yes. Okay. Well, thank you everybody for listening in. I've got another great interview today. I hardly ever do 2 in one day. But today I'm really excited. This afternoon at 1 p.m. Mountain Time, so in just a few hours, I'm interviewing Allie with Patagonia to talk about the textile supply chain. And so chime back in. Be sure to set your little reminder, click your bell on either YouTube or LinkedIn so that you can get reminders about when we're going live. We do try to go live or have some interviews scheduled for the next few weeks on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays at 10 a.m. But it is hit and miss depending on travel and events, in-person events. And so it's a nice blend, but be sure you click the button to remind yourself. And other than that, if anybody else needs anything, don't hesitate to reach out. We'd love to connect on globalhempassociation.org or friendsofhemp.org. Other than that, anything else you want to say before we sign off?
Nope, that's it. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you for being present during the conversation. Mandy, thank you for having me here. Thank you for creating this podcast. I just have so much gratitude for everyone and everything. I really do. So
it's been fun. I'll tell you what, this podcast has been the most, I learn a lot. I get to meet the coolest people. I go everywhere and people are always saying that they've heard it or seen it or listened at some point. And so you guys, if there's anything that you find useful, share it, help us get it out there. And so thank you very, very much. And I look forward to next time.
Thank you.
See you soon. Okay. Bye-bye.